you try getting out of a platform bed when you're pregnant.
Your IDs are not in the positions to intervene in this case.
They cannot put themselves in the position of the homeowner's perspective. Of course, the homeowner's not going to take responsibility. And that's really the true value of hiring an interior designer.
But that's the truth.
Hi everyone, welcome to the SIXiDER Show, where we ask tough questions to the designers, merchants and renovators related to the interior design industry in Singapore. And joining me here today, we have Ivan Sim from Verse Concept. Ivan, can you tell me what's your superpower and what makes you, function as an interior designer?
Hi everyone, I'm Ivan Sim from Verse Concept. So first I want to thank SIXiDER and Ashley for having me here today. Yeah, so I guess one of my superpowers will be my observation skill. Since young, I love observing my parents, my elders, or my cousins, like what they're doing and stuff like that. And then as I grew up, I learned that it's like a superpower to me. So I use this observation skill sets, right, to observe my surroundings, to prevent any potential risk, mishap that will happen to me or anyone around me.
That will be super useful if you're a CIA agent.
It's useful.
Like, you go into a space where you suddenly see, hey, that one, they're all potential spies.
Yeah.
But how is it applicable, let's say, for interior design?
Through experience, right, we will know that certain idea or certain DIY ideas might not work. By observing all this kind of stuff in the past, we are better trained or well versed in explaining to our clients and our homeowners that it's not suitable, and maybe I can propose you other better designs to better assist them in their needs. Yeah.
Can I interpret it as basically your keen sense of awareness allows you to A, pick up lessons as you grow in this industry, and B, is that in a fresh situation where you meet new clients and all that, because of your power observation, right, you are able to detect or profile the customer. Say, this customer most likely will want this.
Yes.
And therefore, with your past track record and past understanding, you actually reapply it to this customer so that in a way you guide them.
Yes.
And you attribute this to your keen sense of awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that help you in your designing as well?
Yes, it is. It will. Yeah. So maybe like, for example, L-shaped corners, cabinets. So if clients really wants to have drawers at the corners there, usually I will try to persuade them not to do it, because user issue, or maybe due to wear and tear, right, doors will tend to warp after many years or so like that, and then it might affect the usage of the drawers. You will hit the door that is on the other side. Yeah, so these are some of the experience that
It sounds like you actually picked up a lot of these practical lessons while observing your projects being built.
Yes, projects, and maybe also through my own lifestyles and stuff like that. Yeah, so
especially when we're designing for real people and real homes, a keen sense of awareness is important, because sometimes maybe homeowners don't even want to be too forthcoming. Some people are shy, right?
Yes.
Some people are awkward. Some people may feel that it's too personal, especially at the early stage of the quotation stage. They may not tell you everything. And they don't tell you everything, then you have to pick up the signal.
Yes, yeah.
Then to determine that, maybe 5 years down the road, you want to have kids. So your current planning, maybe you haven't factored this. Can I propose? Yeah. Do you have the kind of situation?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So it's part of our responsibility, I guess, part of our job, that we have to understand our clients, our homeowners' needs, lifestyles, future plans, like what you have shared, right? So in all this, we infuse all these essence into our design, into their homes.
So now we know your superpower. Now this superpower and Verse Concept. Verse Concept got its own superpower or not?
Yes. Because,
what are the USPs?
USPs, I think mainly is our services, I guess. But services, everyone has their own strong point and stuff like that. So what we really do in Verse Concept is we put ourselves in the client's shoes. We take every project as if our own house. So every idea, every proposal that we give, right, so we will stand in their shoes. What if this is my house? Will I allow my contractors, subcontractors, or suppliers to anyhow mess up the house? No way,
cigarette,
man. Yeah,
eat
correct.
food, don't throw.
Yes, correct. Or they just mess up the house, or they do. For example, if let's say after cleaning and stuff like that, then there is balance paper protection and stuff like that, they don't use it, that's unacceptable.
In other words, basically a high level of empathy.
Yes.
And your company's mantra is that treat the customer's home like it's your home.
Yes,
You have
correct.
a sense of belonging. Now, many IT firms will claim that lah. They will say that that's for sure ma.
Yeah.
But the bigger challenge is, and I'm not sure whether you agree with me on this, is that many IT firms actually employ very young designers. And some of these designers, young designers, may or may not have even renovated their home or purchased a home to have renovated, but they are tasked to take charge of other people's home and other people's property. Without that background, without that experience, how then do you employ empathy and be able to put yourself in the position of the homeowner?
Okay, for young IDs, right? So I guess they have to be mentored. They have to go through vigorous trainings by senior designers of the company or whatsoever, right? So from there, I guess the senior designer or the mentor has a responsibility to teach them all this kind of stuff. So if let's say we don't see this certain quality from our young designer, we might tell them that, hey, actually you're not suitable for this job. I have actually mentored a few new designers before, and I told some of them that actually, hey, I'm sorry, you might not be cut out for this job, because some, like what you say, they do not have this empathy in them. Some, they are just too shy, introvert to communicate with their clients, and I guess that this is
Not acceptable.
not acceptable, because if you can't communicate well with your client, you can't understand what's their need. And some clients are shy too, they're introverts too. So if you don't, reach out to them, you don't, address some issues or needs or requirements from them, right, you will never know what they want. Yeah, so that's one of the main big factor.
From what I understand is that your company practice a buddy system.
Yeah.
For junior staff.
Yes.
And so the mentorship is you will pair a junior with a lao jiao lah. And the lao jiao main role is to guide them so that they don't anyhow hamtam, because since these people may or may not have renovated, nor do they have their own homes, right? They cannot put themselves in the position of the homeowner's perspective. The lao jiao is to step in to play that role for them.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And in your experience, how many more projects before they are ready and willing to stand on their own?
Usually, right, for our side, they have to go through at least 3 to 5. We usually have to cover PTOs for HDB, resale, and condos. Yeah, so they will really understand like all the different layouts, the different property types that they will be handling in the future. Yeah, so if you are looking at a timeline, right, I would say that it will take about 3 to 6 months depending on individual learning pace and stuff like that. Yeah, so after that, the mentor will have to evaluate the new designer, and then they will come back to the management level and then to report back to us, and then we will evaluate, and then we will see what's the next step to guide them.
So you identify lah, and then
Yes.
if they're still weak, then they will continue the mentorship. They're not weak, they can stand on their own already.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Offline just now, Ivan actually shared with me that he has 9 years of experience in the industry.
Yes.
What about Verse Concept?
Verse Concept is a new company actually. There is actually 3 partners, including me. We share the same beliefs, the same idea, and therefore we want to challenge ourselves and to start our own firm.
So 3 of you guys, and you've got 9 years, and the rest?
One of them has, I think, about 20 years, and then the other one is about 13 to 15 years.
Oh, so you're
I'm the youngest.
you're the junior.
Correct. I'm the youngest.
Okay,
Yeah.
collectively you all have like 40 over years of
Yes.
experience.
Yes, correct.
But Verse, you say is relatively new.
Yeah, this is our 3rd year.
Oh,
Yeah.
younger than SIXiDER. Okay. It's relatively new, and you all have this philosophy, which is basically your designers have to employ a lot of empathy in the work and all that.
Yes.
How many designers do you have at the moment?
We have total 8 designers now, including the 3 of us. We do have our own job sites, our own refer customers and stuff like that.
As business owners, you all are still practicing your interior design and your renovation work. Isn't it tough?
It is tough, but we believe that if, let's say, we stop taking in our own jobs and projects, right, we will start to, lose touch in this industry. We might not catch up with the new technology or, all the new materials that are coming up and stuff like that. And then we also want to teach our newcomers or even our new staff or even new joiners, which they already have experience, right, to teach them our beliefs. And then so that, their directions, their belief are aligned with us. So another idea that Verse Concept has, right, is we try to create an environment that is like a big family for everyone, because in this industry it's very stressful. So we try to have a very cohesive working environment, like a home, like a second home to them.
I
Our
see.
goal, correct.
Okay. Let's talk about the subject matter today.
Yeah.
And that's essentially material mishaps,
Mm-hmm.
which in the renovation world happens all the time. Maybe I get the ball rolling, then I can share one story, you share one story, and then we see how far we can go with
All
that.
right, sure. Yeah.
Very commonly, we will sometimes have high-end projects
Mm-hmm.
and require us to play with marble.
Mm.
And marble, there is this thing called book matching, which essentially, if you like kind of put it together, right, left and right must look the same. So normally we use that for feature wall. My personal experience with this one client was, since it's a very expensive material, you normally have to choose a slab. And then you choose the slab and then have it sign off and bring it over nicely and then put up. So we've had situation with marble is that it can be very tricky and very fragile. Got two stories to this. One is that I have one client, we choose a very expensive material, when it's delivered at hoisting stage, broke. Right? So don't know who's going to bear the cost, because it's basically in our contract, and the hoisting process, right, is basically done by the seller. And of course, the homeowner is not going to take responsibility. But the bigger pain point for the homeowner is that I really like that one. Right? Then another story is we go through the same process. Basically, client choose already, sign off on the same marble. Somehow or rather, right, when we brought it to the site and we mount already, right, their signature, everything is correct. But she say, hey, now I see inside the fossil, I see a wolf, Is it the wolf died already, then become part of the mountain, and then I don't like this marble, can you take it away? Then we're like, what? What are you going to do with that? Those both is my personal experience. And it's really those kind of situation where marble can give you that kind of heart attack.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, correct.
Okay, your turn.
So mine was also a marble flooring. We're doing dry laying on the unit itself to show the clients, this is how the veins will look like and stuff like that. So upon laying, we realized that the four corners does not sink well, is not flush. So three corners will match with the rest of the tiles, and one corner will either sink or it will pops up. So we checked with our supplier, and they says that okay, you have to leave a certain gap, 3 mm. But now the homeowner will not accept 3 mm gaps, right? For their own house. So have to change to another batch, to another design. And then this time round, same job site, same owner, tonality came.
No difference.
Yes, came different. And we have to, push back the entire project, right? For about, if I'm not wrong, it's about 2 weeks. First was the alignment issue. Second was the tonality. And then they decided not to go back to the same supplier and go back to another supplier to choose the tiles. And then we managed to solve that issue. Then the second experience that I got is for paints. So different house, actually, they have different lights that comes into the unit, right? So when they are in my showroom, they choose this paint from the catalogs, right? And I still remember it's wall art. So when we apply it to their actual units, and during certain time of the day, the owner happens to go up to the unit and saw that, the wall is not the color that they want. And then they told me that is it because my supplier gotten the paint from another supplier because of the cost difference or whatsoever?
The first thing they think of is that you 掉包.
Yeah.
They didn't think that there could be a mistake in painting the wrong color.
Oh, they did saw the tin on site, and then it's pasted wall art. Yeah, so the next reaction they have is we use another brand or another material to.
And how was
paint
that solved?
We gotten the supplier to come down to test to prove that it is the correct paint code and the correct series of paint that we use, but they just couldn't accept it. So no choice, we gave them the option to change another color that they like. But this time round, we told them that, okay, let's say if you choose this X paint, right, I will get a 1 liter paint. I'll go up to a unit. I'll paint on a small surface area.
A sample patch.
Yes, a sample patch. You guys will go up and take a look before we apply it to the entire house. I mean, this is to give them like assurance and a guarantee.
So you learn from the experience.
Yes. Yeah.
But paint is tricky. Firstly, when it comes in the color catalog, the way that it is printed on paper, so it may not manifest exactly the same.
Yes.
And like what you say, once it's on wall and when the light hits it, depending on the direction of the sun your building is facing, and also depending on that day's weather,
Yes.
it can look very different.
Yes.
Same paint, side by side, one left wall, one right wall can also look different. But I think the thing about paint is the reality is even if it's up there in this color today, right? Give it another 2 years, the color will not be the same.
Yes.
Pigments will change, ma.
Yeah, oxidizations.
Yes.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So I always tell my homeowners last time, I always say that the color spectrum actually has a range one. And the reality is paint will season over time. Even your usage will determine. There's a lot of UV exposure, colors may change.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, that's something to do with paint. But and I think that's still fine, right? Because if anything goes wrong, you can still basically paint over.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
What
yes.
about incidences whereby a little bit more tricky, like for example, wallpaper, where sometimes wallpaper comes in different rows.
Yes.
And row 1, row 2, the color tone may be different.
Yeah.
Have you had that kind of situation as well?
Been through one recently. The supplier that the owner engaged by themselves, they do not have sufficient stock. So they have to indent the second batch which came about 1 week later. So upon installation, they realized that the color tone is different. So the owner make a big fuss out of it. So they ask for suggestion, what can they do? And let's say if the supplier is being introduced by ID themselves, what will the ID do to to rectify this entire issue? Yeah. So I have to talk to the supplier nicely.
It's your supplier lah.
It's not my supplier.
Oh.
Yeah, actually it's the owner's
Heng
supplier. Yeah, that's right. So we talked to them. We tried to go down. We went down, talked to them nicely, and then the supplier was quite kind. It's quite good that they told the owner that give them some time, give them about 2 to 3 weeks so that they can indent sufficient wallpaper to cover the entire surface area, right? So that it will not look different. We are both lucky.
Safe.
Yes.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you run the extra mile. That helps. That helps because like what you say, your philosophy is basically put yourself in the shoes of the homeowner.
Yeah. Yes.
And they also don't want this to happen.
Correct.
They spend money, they just want it to be nice and perfect.
Correct.
But unfortunately, if there's anything I can say about renovation in this line, right, is that anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes, exactly.
That's why when you hire interior designer, right, it's not so much just about the design, but sometimes it's to navigate, to solve problems. And that's really the true value of like hiring an interior designer. I'm not sure whether you've heard this term before. It's called designer's intervention. What this basically means is that, like a doctor, right? If you are diabetic and I see you keep eating, maybe you keep drinking Coke or eating sugar cakes and all that, the doctor's intervention is to take away the cake, throw away.
Okay.
It's for your own good, right?
Yeah.
So the designer's intervention somewhat the same. Like for example, the homeowner choose a certain material that's very difficult to implement. Or let's say for example, they say marble, very big slab, don't know how to go into the lift, right? Or certain things that once you put up, right, it's just going to look really off. You as a designer, have you had situations where you have to intervene?
Yes, I do. Like for example, some maybe husband and wife, one of them maybe have a certain preference for colors or maybe certain requirements, right? So if let's say the colors don't match well with the overall design and stuff like that, it's really our duty to inform them that yes, aesthetically it might disrupt the entire design, and it's our duty to really try to persuade them if they really insist on doing it. Yeah, usually I also can't do much about it. Yeah.
What about situations whereby it is a bad design? There are some homeowners who insist on having a walk-in wardrobe. It's a fascination, right?
Yes.
My first home, no matter what, I must have a walk-in wardrobe in my master bedroom. And the master bedroom is not that big anyway. You insist on putting the walk-in wardrobe. How much walking space do you have left?
Not much, yeah.
And do you really have that much of a storage anyway? Then what's the point? And have you kind of that kind of situation before?
Yeah, I do. Especially recently, like the flats are getting smaller and smaller, right? Units are getting smaller and smaller. So what I do is I will do a comparison, like either cost or practicability comparison to them. That by having this walk-in wardrobe that you fantasize about, this is the X amount of space you have for your bed and the walking space. And then you have to bear in mind that this is your bedroom where you spend at least 1/3 of the time in the bedroom for rest. So it should be something that a place that is comfortable for you and not feel claustrophobic about it. And then comes to the part where cost has been involved in fabricating or designing this walk-in wardrobe, right?
High price and then still may not get value.
Yes, correct. So it's like, opportunity cost where is it really worth it to do it? And then most of my clients actually, after they listen to the comparison and stuff like that, they are willing to listen. Yeah.
And I find that sometimes interior designer have to play counselor, marriage counselor, maybe even baby counselor.
Yeah.
Because really, if you want that walk-in wardrobe, right, that's your dream. But then later, if you get pregnant, and 90% of the lady customers I have who eventually wants to become a mother, right, they will want the cot to be in the bedroom.
Yeah, correct.
But immediately, there is a walk-in wardrobe there, right? So there's no space. Then the other one that we have is the platform bed. Platform bed, very common, but you try getting out of a platform bed when you're pregnant. It's impossible.
Yeah.
The next thing, of course, is that the platform bed eventually becomes, if you have a baby, then it becomes the play area for your kids.
Yes.
And when the platform is very near the window, it becomes a safety hazard.
Yeah. Correct.
So there's a lot of things that actually, in terms of a spatial design, the designer has to really plan and create the scenarios and tell the homeowner this will happen. And then not just now, but in future down the road. And sometimes doing these kind of things, right, may put you in a position whereby the homeowner feels like, hey, I tell you everything also cannot want. You're very negative. you got this kind of situation. Right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, correct. But to me, I mean, safety comes first. You can have the perfect design that you want for your home, but if it's unsafe for your kids or for personal use, then it defeats the purpose to me. Blindly chasing after, trendy things is also not my forte as well. So my design philosophy is to really understand the homeowner's lifestyle, their needs, and where they usually, hang out at the home, right? So I infuse all these essence and bring it into their home. That's where the real design actually happens.
It's not a visual thing, it's basically the experience.
Yes.
Right. So you consider all these aspects as well.
Yes, correct.
But I think the problem is that there are a lot of the homeowners who know a bit but don't know a lot. So they may have certain things that they really want and they rely, or rather they were hoping that the designer can basically just manifest for them. Do you ever practice this kind of situation whereby you spray paint the layout on the actual site, on the ground, so they can walk through? That means actual site, then the bed is here, back to that walk-in wardrobe. So you're going to spray paint the outline of the walk-in wardrobe, L like that, come in like that, then the bed only left like that. You can only get a queen size, no king size.
Oh, yes, very, very often, yeah.
So the mock-up like that.
Correct, we do, yeah. But it's different from, you see those China's videos. So yeah, we do spray paint, so we will measure the exact size of the walk-in wardrobe, the beds, and then we have to tell the owners, okay, this is how the layout will be, let's say with the walk-in wardrobe and the bed and the bedside table that you need, and this is the X amount of walkable space that you have. So usually most of the time when you visually shows them and when they see how much allowance that they have, right, they will withdraw the idea. Yeah, because I mean most people, they still want practicability to be their top priority.
They will become convinced, 心服口服
Yes,
because
correct.
it's visualized in front of them already to scale.
Yeah.
And back to material, right? We can still do that with spacing. Material sometimes very hard. Because most of the time we do is we give them sample chips.
Yeah, correct.
And it may not be the big slab one. And I think even with 3D drawings, even with the material chips, some ID firms even do like 360, right? One period already got VR one, but I still always hear designers complaining that homeowners cannot visualize. Then how do you solve this problem? Because material is a very big thing, right?
Technology nowadays are not advanced to the stage that we can really mimic the actual material and the color and the visual effects, all these onto our devices, because different devices has different graphics and different visual. So I mean the best way to really showcase to the owners, right, is to arrange a time with them at their convenience, bring them down to the supplier's factory to really hoist the actual product out to let the owner see, especially marble. because different tonality, different waves, different veins.
And it's a big ticket item.
Yes, correct. So I think it's important that homeowners actually try to arrange time to go down with our designer to go and take a look at the actual samples.
So these days, almost every material actually can see it in its big piece version.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Almost every material.
Almost.
And you all will do that service where you bring them down to have a look.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just now you were mentioning about like material that mimics something. Okay. Are you a fan of marble laminates?
Yes, I'm a fan.
You're a fan?
Yeah, I like loud stuff. Yeah.
Why are you a fan of marble laminate?
It has their own character, especially for marble. Every steps of marble is different because they are natural stones. But
when it's on laminate, it's not stone.
Yeah, but it creates this luxurious kind of vibe and design out from it. So if my clients has this kind of theme that they like, marble,
my budget doesn't allow, then you will go for the laminate version.
Correct.
Done right, it's going to be fine, right?
Yes.
Done right, people can feel that, hey, that looks like marble. Or they may even think that that's marble.
Yes, correct.
Done wrong, it's like, it's so tacky. And this is where I'm going to, which is when you choose a material, then there are certain laminates, like the marble laminates, where the vein is one direction. Then you keep using it. For example, bomb shelter, you keep using it. Like real marble is not like that. Real marble is actually going to be, you never see the second piece being the same one.
Yes, correct.
In fact, they kind of flow, right? Or you can have a book matching scenario. And then, but if you find one laminate that's one pattern and then you keep using and using, because like if it's a bomb shelter, then it's an L shape. Then you'll see repetition.
Correct.
Those who know will know, lor.
Yeah.
How do you avoid that?
I mean, in between laminates, most of us, what we can do is we can use, V-grooves or different techniques, like for example, aluminum trimmings to actually disguise, to hide all these indifference.
The join lines.
Yes, the join lines. Yeah. So these are one of the ways that we can counter this kind of situations. Second way is we can actually use book match series to piece different design together so that they looks like a full real marble slap on it, but it's laminate. Basically,
there are alternatives, and you will have that keen observation and awareness to know that if it's going to be like a marble or a certain wood vein, then you want it to be as natural as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
And largely because of budget constraint. Otherwise, you will go for a natural thing.
Yeah, that's right.
I ask this is because I personally have an issue with marble laminate. Not that I hate them, but I think they should be used correctly. I've seen many projects that didn't capture a realistic way of using the marble laminate. For example, we would think that as a countertop, you use marble is perfectly fine. So if you were to use it on a countertop as a tabletop, it makes sense. But there will never be a situation whereby your cabinet door is a marble piece.
Yeah.
Because in the real world, marble is so heavy.
Correct.
No one can mount a hinge on marble also.
Correct.
So you go and put it onto the doors of cabinetry, and suddenly, like for example, in the kitchen, suddenly you see, everything at the base cabinet is all marble. Then the top hung is all the wood grain. This is where I think very jialat, langgar already.
Correct.
This kind of design, usually I would point out. And I think this is the kind of material mishap that also happened, which is either by virtue of the homeowner insisting that I want this. I love marble laminate. Or I love marble, but I don't have the budget for real marble. Give it to me everywhere. Yeah. Then that's why I keep coming back to this point about the designer's intervention. At what point would you like, no, cannot. Jasmine, this is a bad mistake.
Most owners, they can't really visualize in today's world, right? So it's our duty that, sometimes we have to come up with 3D modeling, 360 or the 720 VRs, 3D renderings to show them that this idea that you want, like for example, a marble door for your wardrobes or your kitchen cabinet, right? It doesn't cut out, it doesn't match the original theme or the dream theme that you want. So it's our duty to really show them, yes, it comes with a cost, but I mean, this cost compared to what the owner are actually paying for the finished product is a small cost, is a small sacrifice to make.
You mentioned the cost is actually what? The cost for the rendering?
Yes, the cost for rendering for some companies, if let's say they engage a drafter, and then also maybe like the time that the ID themselves have to draw out and prepare the rendering.
So is this included in your service? Or
yes, it's included in our service. Yeah.
Okay. What about, just now you mentioned 360, 720. Is this a service that they can request for?
Yes, they can request. In Verse, we actually provide such service.
That's so correct. They can really have a good feel of the space, like correct, a VR treatment.
Like a walkthrough, yeah.
Nice. Okay, then let's talk about quality law. Then another thing is basically people would not be able to tell the difference. Going back to marble again, right? People would not be able to tell the difference. Say, for example, white marble. Now, there's so many white marble out there. And as long as they get some form of white marble, they may or may not know that, okay, maybe this is the lowest grade and then this is the highest grade. And there are situations whereby you may not even be familiar with a certain grade of marble. I even so long in the industry, sometimes I get stumped because this is a new name, never heard before. Then I wouldn't know the properties and the characteristics of the marble. Say, for example, kitchen countertop. On its own, this vein is very nice, right? And when we envision it in our drawing and all that, it will look perfect, sure, because it's 3D drawing. But when it's manifested on the actual site, and especially after homeowners start putting a microwave oven, a toaster, a rice cooker and all that, because of all these veins and the patterns are very busy, suddenly the whole house the kitchen looks super cramped.
Okay.
And then this, to a certain extent, it affects your aesthetic and it affects the overall look and feel of the space. And how then can you mitigate this? Because it's not easy to mitigate this. And do you have a policy on this? Or have you even had situation whereby homeowners come back and say that, hey, cannot, Ivan, 很忙啊，我看到很逼迫啊。
Yeah. Okay, so what we can do is, right, and that's why I mentioned that we can bring the owners down to the factory to take a look at the actual slab. So not just by looking at the actual slabs, we can actually, request from the supplier to draw out certain area. Like for example, the slab usually comes in 3 meters by 2.4 meters, right? So we can actually label out the exact area that the owner wants. But of course, some supplier, they have a cost on this to use the
Wastage,
specific, the wastage to it. Yeah, so it boils down to whether this owner, they have the time, the budget to, engage such services. Yeah.
What happens if, let's say, they didn't seek your advice? Say, for instance, nothing to do with you, but more like soft furnishings. Your team is this, your drawing is like that, but they don't know where found this guy got promo for curtains. Then the curtain come out, right? You look at it, it's gone one. They didn't consult you. Do you have a role to play at that stage? Do you like come and tell them honestly, look, Jasmine, you have a problem?
Yeah, I will, even though I know that, sometimes I might offend them or something. But yeah, I will to tell them that actually these curtains or this sofa that you guys choose is
Langa.
a bit off. Maybe you can request for a replacement or something like that, since it's new that you guys haven't moved in and stuff like that. But if they moved in, maybe the next one that they get, can be better.
Do you actually make it a point to ask them that if you have existing furniture you want to bring over, let me see them.
Yeah, I do.
We see whether we can use them or not.
Yes.
That's one. Two, if the reno is ongoing and you start to see got promo and all that, consult me for everything. Do you do that?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Even for especially aircons.
The aircon trunk.
Yes, all the trunkings, the pipings, right? So this is very important. So usually during the discussion with the owner, aircon is always being brought up. Certain furniture that owners wants to bring over from their existing or previous units, right? I will always seek them to inform us, to let us know what kind of furniture. Best is to provide us photos, and then we see how we can fit into their team, to the design of the house.
I think it's important because the house is not a home until it's properly dressed up.
Yeah, correct.
And half the time, they are really working blind or not. And it may be because of sometimes certain deals that happens in the mall and all that. But the guy that's selling this has no awareness about the other things that's happening on the job site. They won't kind of connect all the dots together.
Yeah, correct.
So in a way, the designers play a very important role to address this.
Yes. Yeah.
A simple way to make sure that stays within the look is to go back to your 3D.
Yes.
Right. That's your North Star, your guideline to what to do.
Correct. Yeah.
If it works in the 3D, you should work in the real world.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so this one is a bit of a tough question because we understand that basically in order for things to be completed, it's not just about the designer, right? It's about a combination of the designer and their choice of suppliers and fabricators to create this space.
Yes.
Are there certain merchants and vendors that you will not work with because of certain things?
Yes, of course. First is their workmanship, and then their service. So let's say if we used to work with this certain merchant or this vendor or subcontractors, right? If they provide substandard workmanship or services, we will have to terminate our partnership with them. This is very important because what they deliver to us reflects our company image and is our homeowner house. If my house were to have such substandard workmanship, right, I will not be able to accept it. So this is one of the most important factors that my company really values. I have this philosophy, right, in Chinese is that 我用人不疑，疑人不用. So if I choose to use this person, I will trust him 100%. So if I don't trust this person, I will not use his service.
Because you mentioned that there are suppliers that basically you bring customers to those suppliers to choose materials and all that, right? Let's say a supplier come to you and show you, oh, this is my catalog, you can get from me lah. Let's say, for example, vinyl flooring, very cheap, cheaper than outside, maybe by another $1, $2 per square feet. But I don't have showroom. Would you work with a supplier like that?
No, we don't. So there are some criteria that actually we have to do, especially for suppliers. First, we have to check whether they have a proper company setup, proper showrooms, all this kind of stuff. Because if let's say they don't have a proper showroom, our first worry will be where do they keep their existing stocks? Will they be able to provide sufficient stock to homeowners? Will they have proper manpower to do the QC checks before they deliver the materials to our homeowners area? Who is going to do all these things if let's say they don't have a proper showroom or is this warehouse?
So basically you do all this proofreading,
Yes.
validation first before you bring them into the company.
Correct.
Of
yeah.
course, it helps if they are a reputable brand. But if
course.
it's a fresh brand and normally you would not bring them in and be the guinea pig or make your homeowner become guinea pig.
Yes, correct.
But what happens if the supplier is not yours, it's actually your customer choose one?
Then in this case, it's our duty to also inform them these are some red flags that homeowners actually have to take note of. Let's say if the price is too good to be true, most likely the things might not be up to their expectation.
But the reality is they may have a bias. They always think that, yeah, I took it out from your contract. So you will definitely say that about my supplier. And that's to your advantage because you want to, maybe 泼冷水 or whatever. And it's very hard to work around the homeowner when they have a mindset like that.
Of course, everyone will feel that way. If let's say, if I'm the one that tells them that if you use them, then we can't control this workmanship or this quality from the other company. But that's the truth. That's really the cold hard truth about it. So even if let's say they have defects or the things are not substandard, right? I am not in a position. I mean, the company or your IDs are not in the positions to intervene in this case where it's different from what we discussed earlier, where
you have control. It's in your contract. This one is not.
Correct. Right. So if owners wants to take that risk to engage their third party vendors, they somehow have to
bear the
risk and the responsibility and the consequences. Yeah. Pro tip to homeowners also, you should have absolute trust in the designer if you decide to engage them. So if you don't trust them, then maybe it's a red flag to you.
To a certain extent, I agree. But there must be enough homework done first.
Yes, of
right?
course.
Just like you have a set of due diligence done to identify that this is the right person. But once you identify, and in order for the smoothness of the project to move right, it's important to have faith lah. Otherwise, doubt will just cause a lot of issue.
Yes, correct.
And it works both ways for you and your supplier and the homeowner and the designer.
Correct,
Nice.
yes.
But we are seeing more and more of this kind of situation. Largely, I think it's because of accessibility. Many of these suppliers are also not going through the traditional route, which is going through the ID and then ID proposed to the homeowner. They market themselves.
Correct.
They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on Xiaohongshu. Their offers and their special deals, right, it's made known to the homeowners and again, we're not even saying that these people will run away with the money. It's just that basically their product may not be as good.
Correct.
And the price is really attractive. And so they make the purchase. But unfortunately, whether they like it or not, somehow or rather, or even you have no choice, it will play a part in affecting your work. Either they have delay in shipment, color tonality issue, or basically a lot of potential defects. Then this kind of situation, if there's a choice, right? I know you won't take lah, but let's say homeowner say, I want this all taken out. What kind of percentage of this so-called outside involvement would trigger you to say, okay, I don't want to take? Meaning more than 50% I don't touch.
I will say that if it's more than 40%, actually I don't take this project anymore. Because to me, if I lose more than 40% of what is being done to the house, I lost control of almost everything. Because homeowner might not know that actually a lot of these jobs, right, that they come in for installation, it will affect the next contractors or next worker or the next vendors that comes in. It might, damage whatever has been done in the past, or it will change or alter the entire timeline, the schedule, the work schedule that we have actually provided if, let's say, they don't meet our projections that we gave to the homeowners. Yeah, so to me, it's a no-no.
How do we say the 40%? Is it based on volume or is it based on size of work?
To me, it's size of work. It's not really about the value, this cost.
Volume of work lah.
Yeah, volume of work.
So put things in scale lah. Let's say flooring, covering the whole flooring is a large volume of work.
Yes, correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Ceiling is a large volume of work.
Correct, yeah.
One wardrobe is not a large volume of work.
Yes, that's
okay,
right.
got you. Ken, I think we've got a good understanding of how Verse works. We also have some guidelines on basically how you should manage a project when it comes to materiality and all that. The trick is always to consult your designers and also always go and view the product in its actual size.
Yes.
And that will save you a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, is that basically in terms of design sense, is if you're using synthetic materials for a natural product, be as realistic as possible. That's a founding guideline.
Yes.
Okay, Ivan, we actually have at the last part of the show, usually what we have as a tradition is that the designer or merchant would have left you a question.
Okay.
And purposely, I see them all trying to tekan the next person. So this one actually is quite interesting. I've said this before.
Okay.
And I say that, in the real world, right, farmers plant rice, right, but they always go hungry. A doctor who can cure a lot of people cannot do surgery on themselves, right? They cannot cure their own illness.
Yes.
So as a designer, right, what kind of design would you do for your own home?
Oh, that's a good question. But for me, right, I mean, a home to me and to my wife, right, is a place that, we can be chill, we can relax, be comfortable with ourselves at home. So the main design theme of our house will be to be as comfortable as possible. And then I will infuse in, things that I like or my wife's like. We will also maybe segregate different areas. Let's say I like to host, so I will dedicate certain areas, like for example the living room and the dining area to allow me to host. My wife loves to watch her dramas and stuff like that. So I mean the master room is hers. It's totally hers, yeah. She like very warm kind of theme, like warm, bright houses, right? Yeah. So that's...
And so what that means is basically, instead of a theme, you are using color tones and maybe the lighting and effect to create the atmosphere and the experience of the space.
Yes, yeah.
And I guess that's quite common for all designers. I have the same problem also. And the worst thing is, not a worst thing, but when you have husband and wife both are also designers, right? It's a very tough one.
Yeah.
Because I think we've also reached a certain point in our life, right? We see so many design. We also know that the problem with design is that it can be fickle and it could be due to trends. So it's better to have a space that's also evolving.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But this is a designer's perspective, may not be what homeowners want. And we're learning new things every day. So, okay, great. I think we've learned a lot from Ivan today, and he shared on how to avoid material mishaps. The truth is, can't really avoid too much. The best bet is still to hire a right designer in the right design firm, right, to give you guidance and counseling as you go. Materiality is something that homeowners cannot do on their own, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because in your one lifetime, you probably renovate only how many times? But people like Ivan probably will be dealing with this particular material and put this particular supplier on a constant basis 3-4 times in a month. So they have that experience. So trust the designers. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Okay, we've come to the end of this episode of the SIXiDER Show. And tune in next week as we bring more tough questions and difficult topics to the podcast. I will see you soon. Bye, Evan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.